This is Wallace. In this video, I'm going to go over some tips that you can use if you have a dog that's slow to warm up to people or likes to bark at people. This is Wallace's dog walker, and he was newly engaged to be a dog walker, not to be, don't want to get him in trouble. But basically, Wallace has not been a big fan of him. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to share kind of a medley of tips that you can do. Now, while I'm doing this, I'm doing what's called priming or loading the clicker. This is an example of classical, well, really kind of classical conditioning. So what I want to do is I want to have this mean that I'm about to get a treat. So you do this, when you're priming the clicker, you do this with about 10 to 15 treats, maybe 2 or 3 times, and then you probably never have to do it again. So click. So the click is to indicate, as we talked about off camera, that's your marker. So if I wanted a dog to sit, when his butt hits the ground, I would click when the butt hits the ground, and I would give him a treat afterwards. Now, typically, the command word should come before that. But right now, I just want to create this association. Now, he's doing pretty good. He's relaxed with us before, but this proximity is probably going to be startling for him. So if you have a very nervous dog, be further away or click behind your back. And then, so the click comes first, then he gets the treat. All right, so what I've done now is I've just created a situation where the click is now kind of a positive. So now what I'm going to do is see if I can lure him over here. Actually, I didn't need to. You did what I wanted to do. Now, in this one, this is what I call click for looks. So what I want Wallace to do is I want Wallace to look at this handsome gentleman over here to my left. Now, he doesn't know that that's what I want, so I'm just waiting, and I'm observing him. When he looks at him on his own, then I'm going to click to let him know that's what I wanted, then I'm going to give him a treat. Now, when you're doing this at first, this is called shaping. Well, it can be called shaping, and which it's a little bit challenging. That's why I was trying to motivate him. Zach. So typically, like the first 3 or 4 are accidental. Wait for him to get done chewing the treats. So now just looking at Zach gets me a treat. Zach's not touching me. Zach's not direct eye contact, which can be a challenge. It's a we talked about this off camera, doing a very easy version of it. Now, if I hold the treat like this, he's gonna look at me. So I'm gonna have the treat kind of behind my back, or I can have my treat pouch. And I'm just watching and just waiting and observing. So if your dog is barking or reactive, this is not appropriate. There we go, Zach. So you wanna do it with enough distance so the dog doesn't feel a threat. And this is the great thing about this is really, Zach, is basically the dog gets to control the entire situation. So when I look at Zach, something good happens, and that's all that it's not more than I can deal with. So, there we go, Zach. So I'm clicking, and typically I really should say Zach first, then click and look at him. So in this case, I'm not gonna say Zach, I'm just gonna click for it. So again, I'm gonna put it behind my back, wait for him to look at Zach, and the second he does, I'm gonna click. Now, first when I do this, the instant he looks, I click. After a while, then I want to elongate about ½ second of a look before I click. Then a full second, then 2 seconds, then 3 seconds. Now, if he's staring and he's stiff, baring his teeth, those are things, that's not a good look. We want a good look, so he's not saying that I'm uncomfortable. Yes, I found one of the good treats that you really like. So I'm splitting it in half to make it last longer. Now, I'm gonna have Zach take a step to his right or left, whichever direction he wants. And that's gonna attract the dog's attention. Now, when I first do this, I'm just clicking when he looks at Zach. And you want to keep doing this until he's almost staring at Zach. If Zach starts moving, there we go. If Zach moves around too early, that can be problematic for the dog. And that could cause the dog to bark and react. If the dog's barking or reacting, he's saying I'm uncomfortable. We never want to disagree with that. We never want to punish the dog. We want to increase the distance so the dog feels more comfortable and relaxed. All right, Zach, go ahead and take another step. So that time I elongated, I wait about a second of looking before I click. That's a lot faster than what I want you to do when you're doing this. This should be like probably maybe a 5-minute encounter, and then Zach goes away, and then Zach comes back. So we're not asking for more than the dog can deal with, and we're just making a completely positive association. So I'm gonna have you go ahead and take another step, and wait for him to look up though. All right, so what we're doing is we're creating, like I said, this positive association. Now I want to, because he walks, Zach's goal is to walk the dog. So we want to create a positive association for the walk. So what I'm going to do now, yes, I'm going to do this. All right, so I'm going to give Zach the clicker. And Zach's going to have some treats. And Zach, I'm going to have just walk around. Which side do you want him to walk on, your right side or your left side? On the right?
Usually walks on my right.
So if you want it on the right, then you're going to walk in clockwise circles. If you want it on your left, you want it in counterclockwise circles. So I want you just to walk around him, and as soon as he looks at you, click, and then hold out that treat. And then hold out the treat. Lower. There you go. And then keep walking. Just take it about it. There, that's perfect. And when he turns his head, looks at you again, click, and then hold the treat out. We got up. Go ahead and keep walking. When he looks at you, click. That was an accidental click. That's all right. Keep walking. Click. Hold out the treat. Go ahead and walk around behind me. Hold out that treat. So now we're letting the dog approach him. Keep walking. Next time you click, keep walking. Keep walking and hold the treat out. I would normally not be here. I don't want to move to disturb it. I want to narrate. Just keep walking. So what we should see in a second is Wallace starting to follow young Zach around. Click. So first we click just for a look at Wallace, or at Zach. Then we click for when Zach's moving. Now, and keep going. Yep. Wait, click. So eventually we're going to click for one step with Zach. Then two steps with Zach. Keep going. Go. Keep going. And hold that treat out. And keep walking. There you go. Click. Now, if I wasn't here, I'm kind of blocking a little bit unintentionally. If I move now, it's going to mess it up. So we're going to do it. Normally, what I'd like Zach to do when he comes back the next time is meet outside. So Zach's sitting on the driveway, facing that way. You bring him out on a leash, and you've got the clicker that I'm going to give you and a bunch of treats. And just at whatever distance, get it like maybe 10 feet away or so. My two tests, can the dog sit and will it take a treat? If it won't sit or won't take a treat, or it's reactive, it's too close. So we want to get as close as we can without the dog reacting, but not so far away that the stimulus, in this case Zach, is not interested. And you click for looks. And eventually he's going to walk up to Zach. When he does, I'd like when Zach gives a treat to hold it like that. So you hold the treat to your right or left side in an open palm, and the dog comes able, and I'm passive, and the dog's allowed to come and get it. So then we're going to do that, and then when you want to actually, when I want to get up, I'm going to show the dog how to treat. I'm going to throw it like, throw it. There we go. To get the dog to move away. If I stand up with the dog right here, it's going to be startling. He's going to probably freak out. So I'm going to get up and move out of the scene, and I'm going to give Zach a couple of treats, and Zach is just going to walk around the dog. So you walk around the dog wherever the dog is, but there's no leash for this. So after you do the click for looks, I'd like you to come in the backyard, and you guys can watch, but you're just going to give Zach the treats and the clicker, and I'll give Zach a clicker too. Go ahead and just keep a tight circle around him. Keep walking, and there you go. He found the treats that I actually threw. Go ahead and keep walking. Try to get me about 6 feet away from him as you're walking around. And then click, and hold the treat out as you continue to walk. Hold it lower. Keep going.
Keep walking?
Yep.
Can I give it to him?
He's got to come to you. Now, right now he's not, because I dropped a couple of treats in. All right, go ahead. Next time he looks at you, hold a click and then hold your hand down. But keep your hand about at your chest, so your hand will move when he looks at you. So go ahead, where they go. Now, I haven't primed the clicker as much as I would like. Normally you hear the clicker, the dog just drops what it's doing and comes to you. So I'd like you guys to prime the clicker a couple more times, so by the time Zach comes by, it's a good positive thing. This is actually one of the things we do when we teach the dog to heel, is we're teaching the dog to follow Zach around, and then click, and keep on walking, wait for him to look at you, and just walk. And if he turns his back, just keep your circle a little bit tighter. There you go. Stop right there. So we backed up a step because that Zach moving was too much for him. Now go ahead and start walking again. There you go, click. That was a little bit, there you go. So the idea, at first we want the dog just simply look at us, then take a step towards us, then 2 steps towards us before we click. Let me do that again. So the dog looks at us, we click. We do that until the dog's looking at us pretty consistently. Then what we do, sorry, I forgot, is we move the dog, we start moving around the dog, and now when the dog takes 1 step towards us, we click. Then when the dog, after we do that for about 5 or 10 treats, then when the dog takes 2 steps towards us, we click. Then eventually the dog is next to us and we're clicking for taking a step in the heel position. Now when Zach gives the next treat, do you have any more? Yeah. Okay, so when Zach gives the treats, eventually what you want to do is have Zach kind of hold the treat behind his seam of his pants. We call it the heel position because the dog's near our heel. So go ahead and click and hold that treat down. There you go. A little bit lower. There you go. Yep, extend it, but he's got to come to you. Now, part of this might be, well, let's go ahead and come to me. So the part of this might be that he's had a whole lot of treats. He's very nervous, so I gave him a crap ton of treats to meet me to make sure it's a positive situation. So before walks, we'd like to have him maybe not have exercise. Matter of fact, dogs should not exercise. A walk is different, but dogs have what's called a distended stomach. It's not attached to anything. It'll swing around, can flip over, it can actually be fatal if they run around with a lot of food in their belly. Walking is okay. But you see, if you go back to here, just go ahead and just kind of walk around it. Don't worry about the clicks, just walk. Who's got Wallace's attention now? And now go ahead and hold out a treat. Next time he looks at it, there you go. After a while, Wallace will start following Zach around, and then Zach can start making, we have a nice yard here. We can make it a little bit big, the circle a little bit bigger, a little bit bigger. And if the dog loses interest, Zach just keeps on circling. We don't call the dog's name. We're just waiting for the dog to come to us. And this is a nice way to warm up. So he's like, man, Zach comes over, treats are all over the place. I look at Zach, I get a treat. I walk towards him, I get a treat. I walk with him, I get a treat. And what are we doing? We're helping him practice this behavior here. Then he goes outside for an actual walk. So you can actually start here and then eventually walk through the fence and go for your actual walk. All right, let's come back to me real quick and we'll finish this one up. So what I did to meet Wallace is before I met him, is I met him outside. Inside is a constricted area. There's only one exit and there's not a lot of distractions. Yeah, you got to take off. Give me 1 sec. So basically, if you can, you always want to have your dog meet, if you have a nervous dog, if you want to have him meet your guest outside, that's going to help him feel a little bit more relaxed. You can have that. And Zach's got to go. He's a man about town.
Bye, Zach.
And then Zach, message me, because I probably could hook you up with a bunch of clients. Zach's like, oh, wait. I'll give him a card. So you can go do your thing. So just give me a call and we'll figure something out.
Oh,
geez. He's like, I'm jumping for that treat. So if you can arrange to have your guests come and meet you outside. Now, we have a beautiful day right now, but it's not going to last for very long. So this is probably going to be something you'll do in the spring. So when you meet outside, leave that trail of treats, but set him up for this first. We leave the trail of treats and he goes out there and there's nobody at the end of it. So the dog practices a couple times. Oh, I just go out and, oh, it's trail of treat day. And then eventually we have the dog go and meet the person. But when the dog comes outside the door, it shouldn't be able to see the person. So we want to have the person around a car, around a shrubbery, somewhere, but relatively close, but not right next to your door. So he gets all these treats on his way to meet the person. He's in pretty good mood. And then the person's there. The person, if the camera is the dog should meet me either this way or slightly behind, not front facing. This is confrontational with dogs. And the guest, make sure you get guests who will listen to you. I'm good with dogs. Let me show, why did your dog bite me? Because I asked you not to and you knew better. So make sure the guest will listen to you. The guest should be completely passive. And if the dog wants to come up and sniff, the guest should not try to pet. The guest should not give him eye contact. That can be a challenge. The guest should not try to talk to him or have any big movements. We have some sounds you can hear in the background. If that's going on, wait until that's done, because all those little things will contribute. We want to cheat and set him up for success, give him every opportunity. After a while, then eventually he'll come up and he sniffs the person. Don't try to do anything. And then then we want you to take him for a little mini walk before you come back in the house or outside. When we do that, I would throw the treat, a couple treats away so the dog goes away from the guest, gets those treats while the guest stands up. Now, if Wallace is stuck and he's just staring at him, and he's growling, you can toss a treat behind him. We want to get the dog to move around during this greeting. If he just stays in one place, he's focusing all his attention. So throwing a treat behind him, as I mentioned to you guys earlier, dogs don't know that I can turn around and back away. They just don't figure that out. They try to make the thing go away by barking at him. So if you throw a treat behind me, and it's especially if it's like a Charlie bear or something like that, it's got a little bit of a coating, so make a sound. So I hear the sound and I go over here as a dog, and then I get the treat, and that gives the ability for a little bit of space for the person to actually get up. And the dog's not just standing up. So we want to get the dog moving around. And eventually get to the point where when you want to get up, you throw the Charlie bears away, the dog gets up and goes get him, the guest gets up, and then we go for a walk, just like we did, maybe 1 or 2 houses. And then ideally it'd be nice if we could actually have the guest tell them to sit, then give them a treat. Then we walk a couple 5 or more paces, stop, sit, give them a treat. And so now the dog is practicing listening to the human in a relaxed environment. And when he does, he gets a treat. If he doesn't do anything, just sit. He doesn't sit, just walk another 5 or 10 paces and try again. But that's why it's helpful to do this before mealtime. Wallace. Here, buddy. This is not what we call good camera presence. Sit. This is my buddy Wallace. And these are some tips and tricks you can use if you have a dog that's fearful or doesn't warm up to people very quickly.